Welcome to our second vlog. Our first vlog was about psychological safety, and we talked about the difference between espoused values and values in action. And we want to take that idea further by talking about what we think is the paradox of compassion, which fills the discourse and narrative about how leaders should behave in the NHS, compassionate leadership, compassionate care, and that's what we're going to focus on today. Just as a reminder, espoused theory are principles against which an organization operates. They're the announced values. And what sometimes happens is there's a difference between the announced values and the actual values that are used. So today's vlog is going to focus on that. So Nadeem, what's important to you in life? What values do you hold dear?
So I think my values are rooted in my experiences through my childhood and through my working life, and they're actually fundamentally rooted in the concept of social justice. So that's the root value within me, out of which I can then talk about what I stand for as a medical director in delivering my responsibility. And actually, they are actually around the quality of care and the standards of care to serve staff and patients, and that has to be rooted in something else that I'm really clear about and stand for, which is the evidence and the data that underpins that evidence to make sure that we do deliver that high quality care. And we can't really do any of that through building good relationships rooted in trust. So I stand for that, because without that being enacted, we can't have this successful delivery of quality of care necessary through engagement of staff with each other and then with the patients. So that's values, and through which I then stand for my actions.
But where does compassion come into all that?
So in one sense, I left that to the back of my brain because it was almost a given. It is a given for me. So I went into medicine because I wanted to make a difference in people's lives. And I was never going to be successful in doing that unless I cared for the person and for the family before me. So in order for me to be a really effective doctor, I knew that I had to be compassionate. And if I wasn't, I know that patients and families would know that whatever I was doing was not being delivered with compassion. And that's like almost, how can you be a doctor if you're not deep inherently in your ability to do the work, compassionate for the people in front of you?
So Michael West has the following definition of compassion, and he describes it as listening with fascination. I think if I was a patient, I might prefer my doctor to be listening with curiosity. Understanding the causes of my pain, difficulty, and distress, having an empathic response to my description of my pain or distress, and taking thoughtful or intelligent action to help me in my distress. How does that definition translate into the work of a medical leader or medical director?
So first of all, I think this definition is actually helpful. I mean, as a doctor, I like definitions, and I like that this is out there. But I'd like to start by talking about this definition in the context of being a doctor. So back to what I said, I can't genuinely deliver good care, good quality care, if I'm not delivering on each of these elements that are listed. And actually, ultimately, the fourth bullet point is about then taking action to lift the patient, lift the family out of their moment of anxiety, their moment of greatest vulnerability. But here's then the paradox of the problem I face as a medical leader, which is not the bit that is about me being a doctor with a patient in a room, but it's about me being a medical leader with my colleagues and my doctor colleagues in order to get the actions that are required to deliver high quality care when the evidence is really clear that that's what we need to do. That may require a resource or an investment in something to allow for that to serve patients. The paradox comes when I can listen with curiosity and fascination and understand the cause and difficulty of my colleagues' pain and distress in their genuine want to deliver high quality care but can't. I can be empathic, and I am, but I have to be really clear that I may not be able to take the action they want me to take, or that we can't as leaders take the action because the resources aren't in place, or that the resources aren't in place, certainly not now, and they may not be for quite some time. And that's the paradox I genuinely feel the intensity of sometimes
Tension.
pain. It's
Tension.
a tension. It's
Yeah.
a real tension that is almost a daily occurrence now in the context of the environment we're in. So that's the paradox in one sense that I face up to, and I need to understand how I deal with it, both internally, but actually in my interaction with my colleagues. And that's really quite key.
How do you do that so that you keep relationships going and you encourage people to be trusting of you as the medical director?
Well, so absolutely key to me is the concept of trust. And what we have here is the definition that has actually been deep in me for many years. And, you know, it's a definition I like, and it's been part of me for some time. There are many, many definitions out there. And I guess in one sense, that's the madness of social science. But I like to keep it simple. And I like this because, you know, being capable and competent in what you do, showing benevolence and therefore compassion in what you do, but also being honest and displaying integrity. As a whole, define trust for me. It's not one or the other. It's all or nothing.
So I will trust you if you are demonstrating competence, benevolence, and integrity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But this links to that compassion definition, because if I'm not honest, if I'm not showing integrity in my relationships with my colleagues and saying, I am listening, I really do care, and I feel your pain, but actually we can't do this. Otherwise, compassion means nothing. I have to be honest. And this is where I think there's the paradox comes back in one sense, which is, if I wasn't honest, if I was saying, yes, we can do it, and let's get on with it, but actually find that we can't, trust is broken, and that concept of compassion is meaningless. Leadership with compassion has to include that honesty.
Yeah. So how does that play out in the workplace? For example, if you take your A&E department on any typical really busy weekend, where ambulances are lining up, flow is compromised, and you go down as the medical director coming to cast your eye over things. How does trust, compassion play out there?
For me, so the winter's been very difficult, and I have been to the ED environments to talk to my staff, medical colleagues and other staff. And I find deep inside me a real tension when I do what I know is the right thing to do, to go and to listen to my staff, to listen to the doctors about the difficulties they have, the stress they have, and seeing sometimes patients in corridors being cared for, but actually not in the right environments that they need to be, and doctors really struggling and nurses really struggling. So what can I do? What I do is I will clean a cubicle, which I have done, or take the observations of several patients because the nursing staff are really stretched. But actually, the real ability to show that you're compassionate as a leader is to take the right action. And what is that?
To get more nurses.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To have the right number of doctors in place, to have the right doctors working as a team effectively rather than relying on agencies that are coming and going, the right number of nursing staff, HCAs, etc. That is delivering leadership with compassion, because you are listening and taking the right action. But when you can't, I am left with a tension. And then I wonder about the integrity impact. If I'm not honest about it, I feel it, but I can't help you much as I'd want to help you.
So what can you do in the workplace to manage that paradox? What advice would you have for other people?
So be clear that you're of your values.
Yeah.
Be clear about the standards and what you stand for, and never let go of them, because I won't and never will. But also understand that I understand and value the concept of compassionate leadership, but there has to be a real honesty about the integrity of the relationship you're building. And trust is easily lost if integrity is not understood as a part and parcel of benevolence, caring, as well as competence and ability to do your job.
Trusting relationship. Thanks. Please follow us on Twitter and LinkedIn, and our next vlog will take up these themes further.